the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. This is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college. I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest. I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like, how do you have time to, like, meet, like, a guy? I don't know. Like, how do you have time for, like, dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out. And
when I was working 40, 50 hours a week, I was a fucking machine. Like, I had this shit so fucking dialed in. Like, my social life was fine. I was working out. I was cooking. Like, it was fucking great. So I do know that, like, it can be done. However, just because I can do it at 40, 50 hours, I think that we all need to sit back and look at whether or not that's healthy, whether or not that's conducive, whether or not that's how it should be. We don't sit back and think about what's conducive to the human experience, right? And I think a lot of the people like challenging her about how she feels on those situations are like, well, I did it, so like you can do it too, and not thinking about whether or not they should have had to do it. That's the conversation that I think videos like what that young lady posted need to prompt, and not like, oh, well, I did it, so you can do it too. And I'm saying that as a person who's done that and more.
It's a red flag.
So, you know, Alvin, it's your show today, and you know,
damn, it is.
You want, you know,
well, shit, man. Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome to Waving the Red Flag.
Okay, all right, there we go. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
man,
jumping right in this bitch.
There's no lube
of a cold open.
No lube.
You know,
it's Saturday night.
You know, raw and unfiltered. You know what I'm saying? Like, there we go. You know,
let's go after dark.
Yeah.
TRF
you know,
uncut.
100%. You know, so just introducing us, we are, you know, just in case you didn't know where you were, again, Waving the Red Flag. We are one of the podcasts of all time.
Right here.
You know, nothing more, nothing less. You know,
precisely giving you what you need.
Yeah. So
I mean, wait, what's the little writing?
This nigga just keeps saying random shit. This nigga
he just I tell you.
Yeah, he's like yeah, man, yeah, man, fucking 101 Dalmatians, yeah, motherfucker, like, you know,
like we out here, Cruella de Vil type shit.
Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's us, baby.
Yeah, man. It's like
the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It's like the fucking Dunkin' Donuts reward program, right? It's like you keep stamping. That's and true. You keep
you get a free donut. That's who we are. We're the free donut, and we're the previous donuts that you bought. A baker's dozen over here. What going?
Yeah. So I'm Alvin. We got Eddie Button, and we got Josh. We are going to talk to you about some cool shit, hopefully, this podcast. I have no idea what the topics are. I have not looked at them at all, so we're going to do this shit live for real.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Movie magic.
You know, fuck it, we do it live.
I said, nah, nigga, nah. Let these niggas goddamn sit here awkwardly and watch me pull up a topic, goddamn.
Just fumble.
See how this shit done.
So first of all, niggas, I wasn't going to pull up shit. I was going to crowdsource, so I was going to look directly at Josh. After
yeah.
So what do you think we should talk about?
That's what the real hosts do. That's what the host of all time have always done.
No, that's what real leaders do. You just delegate shit. I got you, my nigga.
You crowdsource. You have your aces in places, right? So you look at your SMEs in any given situation and say, what do you think?
Small to medium enterprises? What is that?
Subject matter experts.
Oh, my fault.
See, because I thought he was just saying SMEs, not SMEs.
Oh, okay. I figured it was like.
I was like, I'm a SME.
No, you say SMEs as well.
We deep with D's. Me and all the Brodies.
I tell you, on those good old corporate calls, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm actually not the SME on this one. I could have just been saying, oh, I'm not the SME on this.
Yeah, they wouldn't know what you was talking about. They know that. They know the lingo.
It's kind of thuggish. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, all right, well, shoot, man. Me and Eddie kind of got into it earlier. You want to dive right on into that real quick since we found out the Cheesecake Factory lady is faking.
Of course.
Psy Op black woman here.
Everything's a Psy Op. On Cheesecake Factory?
One cheesecake skit at a time. The way I'm seeing like other Cheesecake Factory like things referenced, like, could I take you to Cheesecake? Like, you know what? Not to get too conspiratorial. This whole thing. Cheesecake Factory commercial. It's all Cheesecake Factory, like top down. They paid her. They created the situation. Now it's a bunch of pick me women and like broke niggas being like, "Nah, Cheesecake Factory is the #1 first date spot." And it's like, you think
Oh
they're
my
not getting
God,
paid off
I haven't had Cheesecake Factory in so long. That shit.
This nigga said
hell yeah,
Cheesecake Factory is the #1 first date spot.
Because
It
who the
is.
fuck was thinking about Cheesecake Factory before all this shit popped off? This shit probably doubled their sales.
And this nigga Josh was like,
Right.
I mean, he's not wrong, man. You know,
Nigga, I went to Cheesecake Factory with a little something last week.
Was it because of that video? You like
It was planted in my mind subconsciously.
bro, Cheesecake Factory is good.
yo,
man.
what was her response?
and
What
they-
was her response when she found out y'all was going to the Cheesecake Factory? Was she like, oh my God, I fucking love Cheesecake Factory?
Was it a test? Was it a
Bruh,
test?
she was down.
She was happy.
10 toes, my nigga.
Okay.
10 toes down, bro. And let me tell you, they make an excellent old fashioned.
I've never drank at a Cheesecake Factory. Like that's a good
actually
tip.
wild to me, but fair. Damn,
Hell yeah.
I don't like cheesecake like that though.
Oh, to die for. Cheesecake is delicious.
Okay, yeah. I think I just have trauma around it. Like I agree. Like
Did the
objectively,
cheesecake hit
it's
you in the
delicious,
face?
But in a manner,
Was
of
it bigger
speaking,
than you?
In a manner, of speaking. And it shouldn't have been laying hands on a much smaller man. It was a very large piece of cheesecake. That's not gonna make sense to anybody that hasn't watched the live, but it's
Plug.
big.
For
That was good, Alan. That was good. That was bigger than you.
Join the Patreon.
I was talking bad shit. And the cheesecake just hauled off on me, and I was like, "Really? You hit the little guy?"
You want to get those kind of references?
nah,
you
man.
gotta.
Oh,
You gotta
tap in. You gotta
join
tap
the
in.
premium community, baby. If you want to really know what's going on, if you want to really be tapped into the culture. No, man.
my God.
Like when I was young, like you know how like in like medium, like upper middle, medium, not upper middle, medium, middle class families. Sometimes you have that second fridge that you're putting like frozen meats and shit in.
Oh, the deep freezer.
The deep freezer, yeah. So we had the deep freezer in the garage, and I don't know what the fuck my dad like did like occupation wise, but he would just randomly have like just like pounds and pounds of like a random thing that he somehow like, I don't know, it fell off the back of a truck or he hit a lick and got like a bunch of steaks and some shit, and then that was
had
just
a food plug.
he must have had a food plug. So one day. It was a summer back in the like the mid 2000s, some shit like that, and he somehow got probably like 57 Sara Lee like frozen cheesecakes, stuffed them all into the freezer for the next probably 3 months. That was the only dessert we had. Which like cheesecake is good, but cheesecake every meal back to back for an entire summer kind of ruins your fucking summer.
Anything
So I really don't fuck with cheesecake.
like dead ass anything back to back for fucking 3 months straight. I don't want that shit no more.
Exactly.
That's
So I
what
haven't
my mom did with me in Popeyes.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
crazy to have Popeyes ruined for you because Popeyes is wonderful. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Popeyes and Churches. I don't know if Churches still exists.
It does.
Worst fried.
Yeah.
Worst
You
fried
tripping? You tripping? Popeyes is the best fast food fried chicken from like a non-chicken sandwich perspective. Like I'm saying, like I can get a better chicken sandwich or like better chicken tender somewhere. But if I want like a breast,
KFC and Mrs. Winners. Okay. Also, like if we're including defunct brands, Miss Winners, as I've said many times on this podcast,
I actually
#1
agree with
chicken
you.
of all time.
so I actually agree with
Yeah.
you. But you can't find a Mrs. Winners. You know,
Yeah.
Okay.
Understood.
KFC got the best bread.
What type of bread does KFC have?
bro, you drunk as fuck,
Like,
man. Is that
breading?
Oh, breading? Actually,
Okay.
Breading.
I may
Like
fuck with
stuffing?
that one.
At least from
I may fuck with that.
Oh,
one.
you mean
I ain't had that
on
shit
the
so
chicken?
long.
Oh, okay. I see.
I may fuck with that one.
Yeah.
Also, I'm in Kentucky, so it's a little bit better here, in my opinion.
Oh,
Oh,
shit.
they fried that
This
chicken
nigga
in
goddamn
Kentucky.
This nigga know the Colonel.
Yeah. I feel like the Colonel's racist. I feel like I wouldn't want to know that guy.
Yeah, me and the Colonel. You know, time is a flat circle. In a past life, we were cool.
We were
Shoot,
all
Alvin gave him the 11th ingredient.
Hey, pause. Yeah.
What?
See, that wasn't even a pause.
I don't know.
Like, see, look, I see that.
Now you got to explain that one. Now we putting you on the spot.
I don't know. I'm sorry. That was problematic of me. I apologize.
I know, man. You got to break that one down for me. You got to, if Johnny has 6 apples, that one for me, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on, man?
I don't know what my thinking even was. I think somehow like something about giving him the special ingredient just sounds, I don't know. It sounded like it's something that you're not supposed to eat. I don't know.
Oh my God, this nigga's gonna make everything a pause after this point. Like,
You're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just,
Yeah, man. I'm just telling the story.
Possible deniability. I don't know.
I was with my homeboy and I dapped him up, and Eddie's like, pause. That just sounds like you just did something.
Everything is. I saw on a podcast somebody was talking about how, like, as a guy, you kind of can't be like, you can't do anything cozy.
That's such a good point.
Can men get fucking cozy? Can we stop pretending everything needs to be tough? I have 6 freaking pillows, a weighted blanket, AC a bumping, Twizzlers in my side drop.
It's true. Why don't men want to? Do you think it's like if you're cozy, then it means it's like you're too comfortable and there's something feminine? Is there something feminine about being cozy?
You can't get up and fight someone instantly.
Because you're too comfortable.
Imagine an intruder breaks in.
Right. Your weighted blanket. Like you can't move.
I'll maybe put the clip up because it was Liz Plank, who I want to have on this pod at some point, and another comedian who I also want to have on. And they were like, it's because tactically, if you're too cozy, if some shit pops off, you're not ready to go into action mode. If you're up underneath your covers and shit, somebody is trying to break into the house, you're not ready with the tool. You're fucking fumbling and bumbling trying to get out of the situation.
Sound like an unprepared nigga, man. Because when I say I is ready, I mean I am ready.
Okay, so even in the hot tub, in the tub with the bubble bath, you got the toolie ready to go. Is that the idea?
If somebody come in my spot right now, I got like one of them fucking Bluetooth like buttons that like I press and like gun? the fucking like gun safe like right here just like fucking pops the fuck out.
That's
okay. Home Alone.
Okay,
it's basically that.
I know it was like that.
When I bought the shit, that was kind of like it was on some fucking Inspector Gadget type shit.
This nigga Albert got a whole security system. Secure. Pop the trunk on him. Goddamn shit just start opening up out of nowhere.
There's also like fucking like
barn door apparatus.
There's fucking broken glass and fucking like Legos just like waiting right there so that they step on the shit after I forcibly remove their shoes.
Yeah.
paint cans fucking like
oh shit.
Pipe bombs and shit.
No, but
real Rick.
Yeah, but like serious business. Like I think that like so I get that was done at least the context that I'm getting in is that was done for comedic effect. And I laughed, so kudos to him. But it's like I think that's a really piss poor reason because you can 100% be prepared, snuggled up. I think the bathroom is probably where I'm most vulnerable, being frank. Like I don't have guns in either of my bathrooms.
Because you're very slippery, and I feel like being naked in general is just a less tactically advanced.
100%. Yeah.
Like if somebody grabs on you, it's easier to break skin, and
I would have to disagree just a little bit because if you're willing to get a little strange on them, that could actually disarm the other person.
That is true.
Like if you can actually be comfortable in your own nudity and utilize that and weaponize it,
that's a fact,
bro. Like just start slinging your dick around at them, like no.
Or and then, like, if you're hard, if you got the hard dick
on the fight, if you get hard, bro, that's a threat. Like come on, like why are you hard right now? Like how is this exciting you?
You gotta you gotta be careful though, because it's a lot of robber bandits, and like you might be offering a good time, and I feel like you gotta be careful. It's a flip of dice.
But see, you think about this though, like if say for instance he end up liking you and wanting you, then you could catch him off guard. Bite his dick off, snap his dick off through your anal cavity. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like you could fuck him
right
up.
off.
Yeah,
I feel like the average heterosexual man doesn't have the pelvic floor muscles to really snap a dick in his butthole.
The fact that you like approach that with any level of academic thought is just world class, Edward. I just want to let you know that.
I approach everything with academic thought. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. Kanye said that.
The fact that you approach that
as a gentleman and
exactly, you approach that with a level of professionalism and academic rigor, just worthy of a modern day Walter Cronkite, and that's phenomenal.
Nope. I like that, Eddie Walter Cronkite. I think that fits, that tracks. I like that.
I will be publishing that in Science Journal later this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we got hella off topic though.
Did we?
This Cheesecake Factory shit apparently fake.
Oh yeah,
super fake.
Like legitimate? Are you saying it's fake? Like, is that verified?
Yeah, it's a skit. Of course it's fake, man. Y'all don't like. every time I say a video, one of these skits or videos, oh my god, I can't believe she did well on the date. I can't believe this happened, or oh my god, the Uber driver didn't tip, and then they tried to get inside the house, and I'm like, this is fake. Every time I'm right. I've never been wrong one time.
I agree. I just didn't know if we had like official evidence that this was definitively a psyop. I would love it if we had it, but I do agree with both of you. I think it's fake or planned, rather.
It's confirmed.
Like about a week ago, where those two folks were on someone's podcast, and I thought that was weird as fuck. Like, why are y'all doing a podcast? I just didn't click into it because I'm like, okay, so like the thing, I was like, okay, that probably was fake. Then I just immediately went on about my day and something else. Totally, I didn't even think nothing else about it. But yeah, but that's weird though. Like as a black woman.
But to be fair,
is she trying to level the playing field?
But to be fair, it wasn't a black man that she was with.
And that's all the more. Okay.
I feel like that's less worth.
Explain that.
Like slightly. It's not. Again, it's like you punching a small man is still bad, or a big man is still bad. Whatever type of situation, cop the Patreon. But I feel like in this situation, like going to complaining about the Cheesecake Factory date of a non-black man is like slightly less worse than if he was black, I guess.
So, still bad.
Still bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, weird.
So the image is now okay. So black women aren't just difficult to deal with to their own, but just for everybody. Be careful because those sisters. Let me tell you,
it's also one of those things where, and I talk about this all the time. Let's say even if it wasn't, if it was true, if it's real, if it was true, it's one of those things that is so divorced from the reality of dating that like I kind of don't like I kind of didn't care to even investigate. I was like, oh, this is one of those things that like people only care about on Twitter. Like I'm moving on.
It could be ignored regardless. Yeah. I think I'm of the same thinking that it's like this piece of, even if it's real, this is mostly to be ignored because it's only being boosted because it feeds into the fears, paranoias, and narratives of a particular subset of the internet, a lot of which are like kind of disaffected men.
Yes.
Like that's what all of it, that's what all of this content blows up because of this, and all of this fake content gets made because it's anger bait. Like people like the reason, because I think Josh, you asked like, why would she do this, or why would people make this kind of content? Because it blows up, because people want to hate watch this kind of shit.
Yeah. And they use it as a springboard to kind of say other stuff, and often and not entirely, by the way, because there is a subset of women that kind of latches onto it to kind of say niggas ain't shit.
And agree.
But by and large, it is the incel community that like latches onto that and say like, see, they don't want to get to know me. They just want to use me for a meal. And like, like they use that as a springboard to kind of get their emotions and their anger like forefront. And it usually doesn't even have a lot to do with that individual circumstance. It's their whole kind of incel kind of history just coming out and being laid to bear, using that as a springboard for that kind of. But that shit don't happen like that by and large.
I will say,
okay,
I agree with you. Just to add a little caveat
Let's
to
go.
it,
Piggyback on it.
Just a little devil's advocate. That shit does happen though. Yeah. Like there are legit women out there that do shit like that, think like that. I've met them. I live in Atlanta. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, by and large, but it's like, yo, it's still like enough people to where
it's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon to be commented on.
It's one of those things where like, like anything that you can name probably happens. Anything that the average person can think of outside of like sci-fi
but it's
shit.
more than that.
Probably
He's saying
happens.
it's a pattern.
I would argue that it's not. I would argue that Josh is in a space geographically and attractiveness wise that he's probably dealing with a subset of women that makes it an oversample sized like effect, right? So he's probably dealing with the caliber of woman where like that's not the average. That's not the average woman. Not to big your head up too much, Josh.
Too many baddies.
But again,
my bitches ain't your ordinary. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know. So like
it's expensive up here in the penthouse suite.
So exactly, you live in the life that Josh is living. Yeah, you're gonna get oversampled on something like that. It's like if I'm a woman and I only fucking date like basketball players because that's the sect I'm in. Like your experience is gonna be different than the average fucking like American.
That's true. Because
that's real.
Now let me ask you a question, Josh. Because we've been actively dating, like, or at previous points in the past, we've been actively dating at the same time. I guess my question is, because you always are like in awe of the fact that this kind of thing hasn't historically been an issue for me. My question is, the women that you've seen me be with, would you be interested in them? Vaguely.
Ooh.
Is the question.
I
think that's the question. You see what I'm saying?
I seen one or two now.
Okay. Well, what's the percentage?
I mean, brother, you secretive as fuck, so it ain't like I seen like all of them.
Yeah, okay, true, yeah.
Man, I would say about a good at least 40%, maybe.
Okay.
From the ones I can remember seeing, I would
yeah.
say like 40%.
Okay. That's not
But
which means 60% no. So that's a big
Damn math. Ooh. This nigga's academic as fuck.
I add them up.
Hey, yes, sir. You take a quarter, you make a quarter, put that together, that'll make a half.
Quarter brick, half a brick,
up.
whole brick, hey, you know, that type shit, you know?
Can't wait to get this gift to my children. Shit. I'm Billionaire Eddie. That's what they call me. No living wages.
Eddie over platinum, man. Eddie over platinum.
Yeah, sir. Eddie over palladium.
Look at that. That was a real smart joke for the nerdy listeners.
Yes,
everybody else looked that up. Everybody else looked that up.
I didn't know this. I thought
we're a nerd podcast.
I thought we were a real nigga podcast, but it turns out we are a dork podcast.
100% dork podcast.
Yeah. I
dork,
don't disagree.
We're a dork, alpha male, red pill conspiracy, sigma male podcast. That's how I describe us. That's how I describe us.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. We're right wing, left wing, neo fascist, progressives.
We're dorks that get pussy.
Pussy dork. Okay, so 60% of the women that you see me with, in your opinion, you maybe.
I'm sorry.
Next.
In maybe your world is like exaggerated towards a particular kind / caliber, if you want to say, of women. Do you think he's only dating Atlanta the case, baddies. Or yeah? I don't think I ever dated an Atlanta baddie. I don't think I ever even knew.
Well, I don't either. I'm not attracted to those types of women. So I don't want to paint me with a false narrative of what's actually going on. But see, that's the thing.
I don't know what Alvin is thinking.
Your bad might be two different things.
Interesting, Joshua.
What Alvin? What was?
Interesting, Joshua.
That was a real. I know something.
My bad and your bad might be two different things.
Of course. Well,
but it's also like a mentality, or like a. It's like you know a real Atlanta bad bitch when you see one, like how they dress, their mentality. Like it's easy to spot. I'm not into that. Like I like cute girls, I like pretty girls, but they not into the bad bitch lifestyle or aesthetic.
And they still don't want to go to the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh no, nigga. See, like, no, that's if you ain't gonna bust it down with me at the Cheesecake Factory, you ain't gonna bust it down with me and goddamn Nobu, like 10 years down the line when I'm just doing that shit on the humbug.
Exactly.
So my thing is just like,
if you don't love me at my Cheesecake Factory, you do not deserve me at frontline courtside seats.
100% frontline seats.
Right on the battlefield.
100% front line. Yep. Right on NBC News, Dateline. Yep. Just there.
Right there. Israel, Hamas. These are the best seats in the house.
Awful.
Yes.
Please cut that one.
Wait.
Please cut that one.
I'm not making like lighter. I don't think that's fucked up.
Yeah, man.
I think we can leave. I'm fine. Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably safe to leave it. But I mean,
1.4 million.
That is so crazy.
1.4 million displaced, man.
But I'm not saying that that's not the case. It's still free Palestine. We did a whole episode about it. I'm just saying, like, we said front line, and I tied those two things together.
10-4. You're the button here.
Well, look, I just want to make sure I'm not doing nothing irresponsible. Like, I'm happy to take it. I make the joke. I'm happy to put it on me. I just don't want to put a negative idea out there in the world that makes it harder for Palestinian justice. Is basically what my question is.
Got you. And I think
if it's not that risk, I don't mind being.
I think the fact that you're thinking about it that critically, I think, I appreciate that personally.
Okay. As a representative of the Palestinian people, fair enough.
As a representative of moral obligation on this podcast, we are the number one moral obligation podcast in the world and the universe.
That's true. Trolley problem type beat. That's us.
Everything we say is 100% serious. I've never joked on this podcast once. Everything
you never seen me tell a joke.
Yeah, everything I say should be taken literally.
Motherfuckers 100%. Is laughing, but it ain't shit funny. Every day on this podcast, real shit only.
Talk y'all shit. Talk y'all shit, bro.
It's only real
No
talk,
jokes,
real business.
no laughter, no games.
Business is something that I stand on. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I'm standing right now.
what
This
I
is
was
this is
gonna
a
say
standing
around
desk.
that whole thing.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Josh.
same.
I'm sorry.
And this floor is made out of this floor is made out of business. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Josh. I 100% apologize. I know I fucked that up.
Oh, you're good. You know I love you. Yeah, gotcha. So, but yeah, like I don't date women like that. So I don't know how y'all view my dating life, but what I would get at is I come from like I guess like a school of thought where it's like, oh my God, like you should court a woman and treat her right, treat her good. But the man should always pay for the first date and da 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 da. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just try to do the right thing to do. And I like nice shit myself. But I'm not going to like super fancy whatever. But my dates, I haven't had a bad date in God knows how long.
Okay.
But it's the thing of, hey, this shit costs money. It does add up. But it's not like these women that I date also never like chip in and don't, like offer to pay or like sometimes pay or whatnot. What I like them to do a little bit more often, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, but again, most of them definitely have like chipped in, paid some shit, done some shit for me. Like it ain't just like completely one-sided.
Okay.
I will say I do agree that you should be trying to put your best foot forward on your first date. You're trying to impress somebody. I don't necessarily think that has to be, if you're creative enough and if you're dealing with the right type of person, I don't necessarily think that involves that you have to spin your way to creativity, right? Like you don't have to always go to the world's greatest restaurant and all that kind of. I've had phenomenal dates by taking somebody to like a hole in the wall spot that they never would have went to otherwise. Like I've talked about that before. Like you take them to a hood fucking fish fry joint and they're like, oh my God, it's like a field trip. Oh shit.
Before.
Yeah, like
you taking women out slumming. Wow.
It's like a safari.
This motherfucker's dating Princess.
Oh my
I know. Don't pretend like you don't
Princess
fucking
Jasmine like a whole new world.
Don't pretend like you don't, like you ain't never played that card, Eddie. Like you ain't fucking took somebody to the west side on some shit. Anyway, but
maybe. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
See,
You're right.
exactly.
Oh my God, it's so realistic.
Oh my God, they actually live like this. Wow.
Wow.
So I do think you can, especially if you're in a major city. I think it gets more difficult if you're in certain areas, but in a major city, there's a lot of stuff that you can do creatively that's fairly low cost that can show that you put forth a lot of effort and planning into the day. And I do think that that's important. I do think that on some level, even though there are some women that are down for that, I do think it's a little bit kind of weird to suggest, even from the perspective of you should be trying to impress, and from the perspective of your own personal safety. If you're like a guy, you're like, just come over to my house and watch Netflix. Like nobody's fucking coming over to my house the first time, even though I know it happens.
That's
people are
that
not.
Shit is dangerous.
Yeah,
now
but
that I think about it, yeah.
Yeah, but even then, it happens
everybody.
all the time. Like I talked about it online right after this drop. Like people are fucking on the first date and they're not fucking going to hotels. They're going to somebody's house. It happens. Blah blah.
Hell yeah.
But once you like get to a certain point where like, once you get to a certain point where it's pretty obvious that you got a little bit of money, like people aren't trying to like fleece you on that. Like people can't fleece you on that kind of shit, right? Like nobody's gonna tell me like I'm not insecure about what I have and what I can do. So I'm not gonna particularly be like vexed when somebody online or in person, or if somebody's like, oh, I don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory. If you want to go to Cheesecake Factory, I'm like, cool. I'm pretty nonplussed on that level of like shaming of like habit and that kind of stuff, because like my kind of status, at least in current state, which could change at any given point, which I'm aware, it's not it's not long-term guaranteed, but right now like I'm pretty fine.
But which way are you leaning though? Which way, like, is it like if she says she doesn't want to go to Cheesecake Factory, you're like, oh, okay, cool, we'll go somewhere else. I'll take you to Nobu, or like if she, or are you saying
Good question.
like, oh,
Good
nah,
question. I didn't clarify.
you
Like
want
if you don't want to go, if you don't want to like do that, like I'm willing to have a conversation on like where you actually want to go, but I'm not just gonna go somewhere else just because you want to like do something else for clout. Like if you like prefer another restaurant because you don't like Cheesecake Factory, because just being frank, I kind of don't like Cheesecake Factory. So
hey, the food was not that great.
Yeah.
But,
So I don't like the food at Cheesecake Factory.
Maybe
Like
he's
I
winning
like
right.
the cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory. So if she wants to go somewhere else, that's cool. But if she's coming at me because she doesn't like it, but if she's coming at me like you should spend more money on a date, I'm kind of like, we're not compatible.
No, I don't think so. We're good.
yeah, okay, yeah.
See, I think I completely disagree with the initial premise because I feel like a first date should be the lowest effort, least creative shit ever. Like, I don't know you, lady. Like, this is a two-way interview essentially. So it's like, and don't get me wrong, it should have some level of romance to kind of give the building blocks for a potential cute romantic first date story. But it should be like effortful, thoughtful dates is something that you do with someone that you give a fuck about. I literally do not know you, lady. Like, we can have a picnic in the park, which, you know, that's a cute potential story, but it's, in my view, a low effort situation.
No, so
we can go to a nice little hole in the wall bar or whatever. It's like I agree there's a floor to what the experience should be like. And
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I think we're on the
But it's
same
not
page. When I say
effortful.
when I say effort, I don't mean maximum effort.
Okay.
I don't mean that I'm booking a private helicopter and like we're finna fucking like, you know, like
Right. We're not hot air ballooning on no first date. I do not know you.
I'm saying I can sit down and map out like we can go to this event for pay or for free. Again, if you're in a major city, there's lots of free, really cool events that you can go to at any given point. We can go to a spot that has good food, whether or not that's expensive or not is based on like what I'm feeling, what she's feeling, like all that kind of stuff. But we can go to a spot that has good food. I can think about that, and I can think about an activity where we can like usually converse. Like I think, you know, like a lot of people like land on like a dinner and a movie kind of situation, and you know you're not gonna get to know anybody in the 2 hours that you're spending in a movie, for example. So I think some bare minimum baseline floor effort should be expected on the first date. But I do agree with you that it shouldn't be like your maximum like ball out of control.
Yeah,
full playbook.
I would say it's
of
the
shit.
minimum amount of effort that I would put into like an event that I'm doing with like a friend. Like, cool, we want to check out a bar together, or we want to go, like, we got some people together, we want to go, you know, do a little picnic or that kind of. It's like it's enough that this is a decent experience in and of itself is kind of what I would aim for.
Well, see, Addie, you're a little bit of a bad bitch yourself, though, bro.
That's a fact.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You was like, you know what I'm saying? If I go to a bar, like, I'm not just going for the drinks. Like, we got to eat. Like, you're not just going to go out just for
you
the
also
drinks, you know?
see me
about
about
baddie. That's a fact.
You also see me about aesthetic too, man. So you're going to be like, it's a I'm sorry.
It's a nice little hole in the wall. It's great Art Deco, you know, vibes.
You on some like NYC clout guy type shit. You're like, yeah, man, we're just gonna do a little something simple. We're gonna go to Kind Regards.
Want to be my muse? This would be great on you. You'd be Bella Hadid in no time.
An ASAP.
You know ASAP?
No.
Rocky? Ooh, you're not like the other girls.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Pete Davidson invited me to Emirata's divorce party.
And fucking check out this this gala tonight.
I know the chef. The tasting menu tonight.
Minimum effort. Minimum effort.
Just minimum effort. Yeah, minimum effort. It's great. I know some of the artists there. It's good. Yeah,
I just got back from Tokyo with Lil Uzi. You know that type shit.
Yeah. There's a couple of secret menu items that, as a matter of fact, I think we can get into the kitchen. Let's go back there. Yeah.
You know, I actually didn't ride on his private jet. I actually rode first class back, so you know.
I'm regular.
I'm pretty modest.
I'm pretty regular, like you guys.
We like to keep it
regular.
Yeah. Like you.
Well, most girls do be down for like most girls do just be down for like almost whatever. Like as long as like you cool, you show them a good time, they have a good, you know, like you got good conversation, good energy, you make them laugh.
Effort, man.
They be down for
effort. That's what they want. They want effort.
Yeah, that's the effort.
I mean, look, rule number 1: be attractive. The rest of the shit don't matter. Like that's it.
Cap. I done seen some ugly niggas with some.
No. I don't mean physically.
Yeah.
I just mean be attractive.
Okay. Yeah. I do, and I know we've had this conversation before, Eddie. I do think that like after a certain kind of woman, that everybody that approaches them is attractive, so it gets harder. But in general, I agree with that thesis. When you playing in the field that Josh playing in, you know, all all you know, everybody that approached them motherfuckers
he's competing with basketball players. Yeah, you're right. So that's you gonna have a hard time.
It's like you can go out with Josh, or you can hit up, you know, fucking DeAndre Hunter or something from the Hawks tonight. You know, one or the other. Like which one?
I mean, look, when I take them to Taco Mac, you know what I'm saying? This is pretty evident from this is how as high as it's gonna go, baby. You know, I'm sorry.
I kind of wanted to talk about that's like a struggle of your first job shit, because I feel like it's been a lot of if y'all are interested in it.
Yeah, I'm interested in whatever you're interested in, but pause.
Okay, appreciate you.
I like what you like.
There we go, Alvin. There we go. Love to see it. Welcome to the club, my friend. Pause. I feel like this idea of like a bunch of stuff coming up about like work-life balance and cost of living crisis and like too many work hours on this. I feel like I keep seeing content about it, and it's just like kind of reaching like a bit of a fever pitch.
Where we're making more money than we've ever made, and we are literally the brokest we've ever been. Brokest we've ever been.
And if you told me a few years ago that $80,000 a year was not going to be enough for a family of four.
I make more than what I made back in 2015. But I am still literally living paycheck to paycheck.
I have to work 60 hours a week and make $80,000 a year to make ends meet. That's insane.
Financially, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function.
What is the point? What am I working for? What have I got 2 jobs for? What am I going to school for? Because it feels like there's no winning this rat race, and I'm still gonna be struggling no matter what I do.
They are literally stripping us dry with these fucking rent, food, utility, house, car, everything the fuck is expensive. Everything has gone up at least 40%
And I related to those videos too.
Yeah.
Because like I'm making more money than I've ever made. I remember thinking like 5 years ago or whatever, like, if only I made the X amount of money, the money I'm making now, like, oh my God, I'd be straight. Nigga, it's still like almost, bro, like it's still almost paycheck to paycheck. Damn near. Like it's hard to save.
Yeah.
I will say
because like cost of living is going way faster than your like increase in wage. I saw somebody say she was like, I'm making more than I ever made. I'm making $80,000 a year, and I still can't afford any fucking thing. So.
I will say
that's crazy.
No, go ahead. I will say that I would just go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I would say.
I didn't say go ahead. I said I started talking and then I stopped in the middle of a sentence, and that might have been interpreted as me saying go ahead, but I didn't say go ahead.
No, you literally said the words go ahead and
go ahead.
This motherfucker be gaslighting the tape. Run the tape back, bro.
I want to run all the tape back too. No, go ahead. I will say that no, go ahead.
Your run the tape back is not flawless, bro. Like,
it's not. So I'm before you go into what you're gonna say, Josh, I will just caveat that I went back and listened to some run the tape back. What you call it? I'm like 60%. I'm not bad and flawless. Whatever.
I give you 45. I give you 45 max.
I'm 60. I'm about 60%. But go ahead, Josh.
Look, I thought that nigga was about to say 100.
No, I'm not 100. I'm not 100 at all.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That does my heart
growth.
Some good. Okay.
That's growth. We like to see it. That's growth. But what were you gonna say, Alvin?
I think that there's a set of people that are 100% struggling, right? Because a lot of the wage growth, at least recently, has been in like low wage earner kind of situation, but it hasn't kept up with inflation. And I do want to point out that we did have a period of about 4 or 5 years where inflation was fairly low and wages skyrocketed at every level of the spectrum on that point. So I haven't yet done the math on if the inflation has wiped out all of that wage growth, even though I know that it's wiping out all wage growth over like the past like year and a half. I know that for a fact. But anyway, so I will say from my circle, a lot of people are complaining to complain. They're like, oh my God, like food costs so much. Let me go hop in my fucking Range Rover. But my circle is not the average American, right? So I think the average American is probably struggling with it a lot more than say like the mid-career professional set. The mid-career professional set is almost entirely, in my opinion, just saying some shit because it feels like a wave, and they're trying to be like, oh, I'm just like everybody else. I put my Ferragamos on 1 foot at a time, just like you motherfuckers, like kind of shit.
But you know what the thing about that is though, bro? Like they still don't. A lot of them people still be living check to check and still technically broke. It's just they're broke at a higher level.
So check the check, and I was talking to this online too. Like check the check when like you have like a $1.2 million house and you have like 2 cars and you like buy everything that you want. Like check the check in that circumstance is not check the check like a average American household. You know, $60K. 2 kids.
I mean,
like,
literally. Like,
so, like, I
got hella debt.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I also think that there's a bit of nuance in what check to check means for like some Americans versus others.
Of course.
Yeah,
So
some of these are like people are choosing to live check to check. Like you are living beyond your means by like millions a year.
yeah, but I do want to stress. I want to stress that I don't think that the situation that I just described with like those mid-career professionals doing that, I don't think that's indicative of the average American. I do think the average American is probably struggling substantially with energy and food costs because that has jumped quite a bit. And again, despite the fact that we've seen like the data over, like I said, over that past like 3-4 years of like wage growth at every level, even at the quote unquote lower wage earner scale, over the past year and a half, like any wage growth, it's probably been wiped out by inflation.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Like I think a lot of increases, like a raise, is like around. You'll be lucky if you get 5%, and then like literally every single freaking thing is costing more month over month. Like the prices keep going up, and then they always say, "Oh, it's just we're going along with what the market is doing." Well, motherfucker, like the market ain't keeping up. Is not conducive to what y'all actually paying us. At all.
I also think that
the
like
market doesn't work to like make sure people are okay. It's just not. It's like by itself, it's not an adequate mechanism for organizing a society. I think
free markets are mostly good. I think there are some notable, and I've talked about this before. I think there are notable market failures that like shoot a lot of lower middle class people in the foot, especially for example, higher education costs in the United States is a market failure. Healthcare costs in the United States is a market failure. So so there are some things where like the market will ultimately like correct itself, but there are some where they're sticky. So for example, like energy and food costs are sticky. Healthcare and higher education expenditure in the States, at least, is a market failure because that shit just keeps going up despite the fact that it is not keeping up with wages at all. Hasn't kept up.
I would argue that right now, like the whole cost of labor in general is like a market failure. Like the amount of productivity that is being gotten out of people, the amount of labor that they're putting in each week, and the amount of money that they're getting relative to like a livable wage is so far from one another that that's another what I would argue is a market failure.
I would say the only reason why I would say that ultimately isn't a market failure is because you do have periods where like wages like skyrocket like pretty high versus the inflation. And again, yeah, and then, like
years. You said peers.
Periods.
Like the people that's in the same
periods.
Period.
So for example, like if you were an MBA student coming out of like school between like 2017 to like honestly right before the pandemic, and then like the pandemic recession lasted only like a quarter, and then like right after that, like you got broke the fuck off. Like everybody's salaries were like through the fucking roof. So like there's some periods where like some of these like kind of things like
where like wages were clean.
Yeah, wages were clean. Like inflation was inflation was the average, and like salaries were going up like a ton. Like the average salary coming out of my program went up like $40,000 or some shit like that. But anyway, so like there are some periods where like the professional class has seen like some benefits of that. How much that trickles down to like the average American, which is not a mid-career professional, is debatable, but it's at least some. But yeah, Josh, what's up?
The way that you describe it, or I guess speak about it, is I don't think it gives enough credence to the average American, because like what you're describing is like the top 10% of the population, when the 90% of people is being drastically impacted by all of these things that you just mentioned. Like,
No.
So the fuck, what if a nigga with an MBA got a $40,000 raise? They're like, it's 80% of us are still over here goddamn.
So one, like I've said at several points during this that like over that 3-year period that I mentioned prior to like the rise of inflation, right? That you saw increases at every level, right? I just use that because I know those numbers more intricately because that was the life I was living during that time period. Secondly, if you look at it recently,
like blue collar workers.
Yeah, if you look at it recently, the wage growth that has been happening, because there's still technically wage growth happening, that has almost been all targeted at lower wage earners. Now, what's happening now in that segment is that while those lower, quote unquote, lower wage earners are increasing in wages relative to even like the upper middle tier people, like the mid-career professionals, that's being wiped out by inflation. So I am trying to like hedge my stuff relative to my experience versus everybody else's experiences. I want to be very clear that I'm not saying that my experience or the experience of any of my peers is indicative of the average American household making 60 to 70K median. I'm not trying to say that that's the same thing. I'm not trying to say that like it's indicative of anything that those people are dealing with. Caveat, 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 caveat. But the numbers are the numbers.
I respect that.
I would say probably the period in the industrial era where like there was a point where it was pretty good from a wage standpoint, where like you saw a lot of wage growth, and also relative to say like the CEOs of it, like there was a pretty good ratio between like the average worker to CEO. I would say all that probably fucked up around like the 70s, once they started taking a lot of federal funding out of higher education in like, at least in the States, because again, the rest of the Western world operates a little bit different, but in the States, they pulled a lot of funding out of higher education starting in the late 70s into the 80s, which means that those colleges and universities started putting more cost on like the students. So like your primary metric of like social mobility now costs you a shit ton of money, and it keeps going up despite the fact that those costs don't keep up with like the wage growth. So like,
and what
that's when it really fucking
and are you saying that's tied into the cause of CEOs making, because like the ratio between CEOs pay and their like workers has like drastically increased. Like it was like, 20 times as much, back in the day. And now
it was
it's
10.
like 400, 500
Yeah, points
times.
it was 10,
Okay, 10. So are you saying that that's related to the
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't think it's unrelated, but that's not what I was asserting. I was just using it as a marker of like wages relative to productivity versus like what the upper echelon in the company will make, right? It was just a indicator of wage growth versus stagnation.
I am curious. So like, did either of y'all watch that video of, it was like a younger woman who had just left from college, and she was now like starting her first job, her first 9 to 5 for real office job. And she was like,
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my god. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like, I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like how do you have time for like dating? Like I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Couldn't hack it. She was like, it's 9 to 5, but really in order to get ready and get there and get back, it's more like, it's more like 7:30 to 6:30 in terms of time that I actually get to myself. I'm exhausted. All I have time is to like scarf down a little bit of food, kind of bathe myself, do a couple of errands, get to sleep, and then do it again. And then there's like 2 days of the weekend to get more chores done. And then I don't have a summer break anymore. So it's just this every single week for the rest of my life. And she was like crying and shit. And obviously some people responded, some kind of more conservative people were like, oh my God, Gen Z doesn't know how to work. And bitch, you went for a rude awakening, like all this kind of shit.
Can I take this one?
And then
welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Can I take this one? Cause I feel extremely strongly about this, and I want to split the difference as best I can. So I have worked 40, 50 hours a week. I say my first full-time work after my first stint in grad school was 40, 50 hours a week. I'd say my first gig after my MBA was more like 60, 70. I'd say now I'm closer to 80, 90. I will say that when I was working 40, 50 hours a week,
you're a victim.
I was a fucking machine. Like I had this shit so fucking dialed in. Like my social life was fine. I was working out. I was cooking. Like it was fucking great. I just wasn't making enough money. My bills were paid, but to Josh's point, like I couldn't save. And that was years ago now. You know, like when I was making, 40, when I was making, 50, 60K, working 40, 50 hours a week. So I do know that like it can be done. I do know that for me personally, the point where it gets difficult, where like I don't feel like a regular person, where like I feel more akin to what she's talking about, is close to 80 hours. However, I do want to say that just because I can do it at 40, 50 hours, I think that we all need to sit back and look at whether or not that's healthy, whether or not that's conducive, whether or not that's how it should be. Because I think a lot of people,
bro, every time you get on this podcast and talk about like how you manage shit, it's always like, yeah, I was on modafinil and I was. That was when I was in grad school too, bro. Like
I was counting the range.
I was at school when it happened, and so like, and I will say that when I
my point was just that no one looks at your like level of high functioning and goes like, yeah, that's a healthy, sustainable thing for everyone.
So like
it's kind of known it.
Yeah, so it's like I think that like even though like you can do it, I think that like we don't sit back and think about what's conducive to the human experience, right? And I think a lot of the people like challenging her about how she feels on those situations are like, well, I did it, so like you can do it too, and not thinking about whether or not they should have had to do it. And I think that we need to think critically about, and I'm saying that as a person who could do it and whose life was
the barrel type shit.
Yeah, it was pretty okay when I had to do it, but it's like sit back and look at like your lives critically and think about whether or not it even makes sense that you even had to like work it out and figure it out and all that kind of stuff. I will also say that from my experience, when I had just like a basic like, and when I ran the anti-recidivism court and all that kind of stuff, like it was easy for me. That was a little bit easier than school, because in school I was, especially grad school, I was putting in the same amount of hours as a job, and then I would have to come home and then I'd have to do papers and analysis and do this data cleaning and like all this kind of stuff. So at least when I left work, it was like, okay, now you can go run. Like it was a little bit better. But I do think that we need to look critically at the systems that we've created and think about what's conducive and not what you can do, because humans can do a lot of stuff. Like you can make a lot of stuff work. Yeah. It's whether or not this is good for us. That's the conversation that I think like videos like what that young lady posted need to prompt, and not like, oh, well, I did it, so you can do it too. And I'm saying that as a person who's done that and more consistently.
I think, I completely agree, because I think that's one of the biggest grifts of like generations complaining about, because it's almost like some fraternity shit. Like, you know how fraternities, like when you rush or pledge or whatever the fuck it is, they like beat you up and fuck you up and do all that, what's it called? Hazing stuff. Yeah, hazing stuff. And then you never are going to get like revenge or come up to like the people who did that to you. But your payment is that you get to then be that and do that to the next generation of people. And I feel like in a lot of these rackets, it's like, oh, well, I was made to do XYZ terrible things in my childhood, in my young adulthood. Therefore, the next generation needs to understand that this is a thing that they should expect and they should never ask for more. And I think that that does a disservice to all of us, including the older generations, who should who should kind of think like, no, like you were exploited and you can't go back and get that time, but you can make sure that the next generations aren't exploited in the same way. And that doesn't hurt you. Like, I know it kind of seems like somehow it's taking away from you for subsequent generations to ask for more, but it doesn't. It's not a war against younger people at all. Yeah. The opposite of that.
I think people should ask for the most in any situation, right? If it's like if you miss, shooting for the moon, you're still amongst those stars type bullshit. Ask for the most. Like don't go in and lowball yourself. Like I think people should get what they can get.
You're selling your labor in time. Like it has value. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a video I saw like a couple of days ago where this girl was talking to the CEO of the company about like, the possibility of a 4-day weekend. It was kind of like having like a debate, or just like, they were just kind of like talking about this. Of course, the millennial was talking about the benefits of the 4-day work week.
The productive work that's really going to move my job forward, that I feel good about, that I think is contributing, I can do that in 4 days. What do I do with that 5th day? How much do I invest in my own career and my own expertise in adding things? And how much do I do more non-work, throwaway work, which none of us want to do. Gabrielle, is that a fair kind of assessment about what you're seeing?
The extra fifth day you can do with whatever you want. That's the exciting part. So,
and it just kind of goes to show you like where the mind of these boomers are, because the CEO was like an older white woman. Both of them white, but anyway. And she was just like, I mean, what are you gonna do with the extra day? Like, bitch, what you mean? Like, look. Live my fucking life. Do something. Like, take care of myself.
Anything
like,
else.
She had to break
literally
it down.
Anything else.
Literally
anything other than fucking work. Like it's like she couldn't comprehend.
And I did.
What are you gonna do with the Friday or the Monday? Like,
learn pottery. Go salsa dancing.
Yeah,
like,
and
go for a hike.
And she had to try to like break it down as professionally as she could, and like it was she did a really good job in the conversation. But you could tell by the end of that little video I saw, she wasn't
convinced.
Still couldn't quite grasp.
And I will say this, and this will be the last point I put out there. I do think that if jobs, for whatever I have to say about my job, and I'm going to tread very lightly here, but I am compensated for my time, right? So what I think the barrier for a lot of people is, you know, if you're put in a situation where you have to be like me, you have to work 80 or 90 hours a week. A lot of people aren't compensated to do that, right? Like there's a reason why I continue to do this. It's because for working 80 or 90 hours, for me, I'm compensated to make that worthwhile for me, at least right now. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of jobs and a lot of these heads of these companies want you to put in that kind of work without compensating you well for it. They want you to put in that level of effort so that like it's not like and it's like they're paying you like you're working 40, 50 hours. So I think that if the boomers and the Gen Xers, I think we forget that Gen X is probably like the people most likely in like these kind of leadership positions in current state. If the boomers and the boomers are retiring, well, the boomers and the Gen Xers want people to have that kind of drive to like work that kind of you gotta compensate people for that shit in the current state. Like I love the fact that Gen Z wants their compensation. Like I will say this, I guarantee you that if you compensate Gen Z for those hours, that Gen Z will be more apt to work those hours, but they're not going to do that shit for peanuts. They're just not. They don't seem like that generation.
And nor should they.
It's not possible. Yeah. You can't live off the damn peanuts. Yeah. Like you can't go to sleep. You gonna go to sleep hungry as fuck off them peanuts.
Yep. Man, that was good, Josh. Damn, that was good.
That was good. That was good.
That's what
you must think I'm a Dumbo.
Shit. Dumbo. Light nigga, dark nigga, real nigga, faux nigga. You know what I'm saying? But yo, can we talk about first jobs?
Get jiffy with it. Yeah. What you thinking?
Well, so my first job was literally my first job out of college was literally the hardest job I've had. And I worked the most hours and got paid the least. I used to go door to door, like on the residential side, in a management training program. So you basically we sold AT&T Uverse and shit.
Yeah.
From like, every day was minimum, Monday through Friday was minimum 12 hours. From the time you got to get to the office, you go, you have like your morning team meetings and like all get all hyped up and shit. You go out to the field, slang that hot product in the street for about a good 7 hours, and then go back to the office, debrief, write your numbers down and whatever. And nigga, I had legit had no fucking time to do nothing. And on top of that shit was 100% commission. So if you did not sell nothing, you wasn't gonna make illegal shit. And on top of that, nigga, we had to work Saturdays, bro. Like, so it was Monday through Saturday with Sunday off. Imagine walking all day from house to house. So like
and it's hot outside or cold outside.
Hot, cold, raining, it don't matter. Like, nigga, you tough it out. Like, it's a mental thing. But I learned a lot of shit from doing it, so it served like a purpose. But still, though, like that's.
But they stole from you. I would argue. Like, yeah, you learned from it and you got some nice experiences, but you weren't paid for your time properly at all. Like, and I feel like young workers and like migrant or like transplant workers get taken advantage of like extremely in a lot of those situations where you're getting paid in like just commission, and they're doing a whole bunch of like having you work crazy fucking hours for the promise of maybe getting a good like chunk of change, and all of that shit should be illegal. Like, which is why I say I think a lot of wage stuff is a market failure. That sure, I think it's fine to let wages naturally grow in the way that you said previously, like, cool, everybody's coming up. But I think that you've got to have like some stopgap shit at the bottom to go, here are the things that an employer cannot do. And zero wage commission based work should not fucking exist.
I agree.
Like, interns shouldn't unpaid internships shouldn't fucking exist.
And I'm saying they shouldn't as a person. I'm saying that they shouldn't exist as a person who's done an unpaid internship. And I say
that's exactly why they shouldn't.
Yeah, and I'm saying that as a person who like that set me up really well. Like I've said on plenty of platforms that after I did that, I've never worked for free ever again since I did that. And I'm still saying that unpaid internships shouldn't exist.
Well, no, because if it's illegal across the board and you're in a situation where everybody is getting paid for those and it's required for internships to be paid, you would have gotten all of those benefits and have been paid something like a livable wage at the same time.
100% agree.
Which is what you deserve.
Oh, that was the one thing. That was the one thing I was gonna say. That was the one thing I was gonna say. And I remember this. The only thing that I wanted to call out is that unless there are really tight controls from a macro level for inflation, paying everybody more does lead to some inflation. So you have to do that. But what you'd expect is a competent central banking apparatus kind of like situation to be able to increase wages and control inflation at the macro level. There's also a lot of
most countries do it pretty well and I'm not an economist, but I feel like most countries outside of the US, for instance, do a pretty good job of like raising minimum wages in step with inflation in a very calculated way, calculating for the inflation result that it will cause.
So I think Jerome Powell did a lot really well during some really tough times. I think Jerome Powell is a phenomenal Fed Reserve chair in a history of very recent, very good Fed Reserve chairs. Like he basically used everything he had. Like a lot of the stuff that like should have been fixed after the point where he acted technically should have been Congress. So I think he did everything that he could. But I did want to point that out, that like you can 100% control for inflation and increase wages if your central bank is competent and your Congress is competent, which we've had problems with more Congress than the Federal Reserve, I think, in recent years in the States.
Our Congress is not competent. Like, I forgot what dude it was, but he was like, let me tell you, these people are not sending their best and brightest to Washington.
The fact that Jim Jordan almost won Speaker is crazy. The fact that was almost a thing is like insane, but I digress.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the job thing, I think that all of the people who are asked livable wage, I think is like an absolute minimum.
Yes.
That any state that requires labor from its populace in order to operate as a machine is a minimum that should be guaranteed to workers. And if you as a firm are not capable of offering livable wage to your workers, then you are not a what's the word? Sustainable, valid. What's the word that I'm looking for, Alvin?
Viable. Like
a business. Viable. You are not a viable. Thank you. You are not a viable business if you cannot pay a livable wage. In much the same way that like a cotton industry that requires slavery is not a valid business because it requires slavery to function. If you require the people who work at your jobs to not be able to sustain themselves while doing the labor for your company, you are not a viable business.
Oh, we're talking about. I play like
full-time work for full-time work. Yeah,
full-time work. Okay, because because I'm also thinking about like smaller startups, but startups can maybe not startups is going to be the best thing, but like maybe just entrepreneurs who might have a staff of 5 people. The revenue isn't quite there, you know what I mean? But maybe I'm just
I get what you're saying. You're right, Josh, because like the whole startup ethos is like most startups pay you less. Most startups don't give you a very good wage, at least not like.
But most startups are like
they give you equity.
Tech sector job. They're paying livable.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. Like most tech sector startups don't pay you a livable wage,
so
especially contingent upon where they're located, right? So they're isolated in like these areas where like standard of living is like extremely high. So they're not paying you a livable wage. So what typically happens is they attract a set of people whose parents can like, not parents, but like they probably have some savings from like other business dealings, or they may have parents or whatever. They've got something to fall back on. They get like a lower wage with the promise that they get equity in that business, and then when you go public or when it gets sold, then you get broke the fuck off. You're a millionaire overnight. So you forego these short term.
If the business succeeds. If the business succeeds.
If the business succeeds, yeah.
Which isn't necessarily like that. It could go one way or the other. But I would say if you put it, because okay, so to your point, Josh, I think there is like maybe when you put very strict restrictions on like what you can do as an employer, that maybe we lose some of the scrappy startup, hustle culture. Like, hey, we're going to make a t-shirt company together. Like you maybe lose some of that to an extent in benefit. But I think that what we lose by allowing employers to steal the value of their workers by not having those things in place is way worse. So I do agree to an extent, but I would say if you raise up the floor of like what you are allowed legally to pay a person, then startups just have to go, hey, look, if we want to exist, this is what labor
they just
costs.
have to compete.
So we can't negotiate that.
Yeah.
We just have to compete, because that's what you do with everything else. You can't go like, okay, cool. Well, we need computers, but we can't afford them. So I guess we're just going to steal all the computers. This is what computers cost. If you have a startup, you have to, you calculate for that expense. Same thing with labor. You need to raise more venture capital, because in order to pay, graduate software developers, this is what you have to pay them. Yeah. And it's not negotiable. Compete or fail is what I think should be.
Or make the equity term so attractive that like people are willing to take it. One or the other. But I agree with you.
I think maybe that's a fair, concession as well, potentially.
I take less for equity in certain, like, I'm not gonna name names, but Eddie, me and you had this conversation before. There are certain companies where I was like, please,
equity,
please give me a shot, because you're gonna go public, you're gonna go fucking public, and I'm gonna be a millionaire. Please put me on. Please.
But if it's some risky shit, I'm like, this seems like you paying me in
Trident layers.
Of course you can pay me in gum.
In Bitcoin with pieces.
Exactly.
You remember when Eddie was buying a pizza with Bitcoin?
Bro, I spent probably on that pizza, I probably bought what would have been at the height, probably like $5,000 worth of Bitcoin just on pizza.
Was it good pizza?
Like, when I spent
was it worth it? Was it worth it?
This motherfucker, the zenith of pizza, the world's greatest.
Yeah.
The world's great.
It was okay.
Most expensive pizza.
Fucking had gold flake on it, on that shit.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Nah, it wasn't good pizza, because I spent the Bitcoin when the Bitcoin was worth maybe like 40 or something like that. So I bought 3 or 4 pizzas with that shit, and it was kind of whatever pizza. Like it was semi gourmet. But then if I had kept that shit 6 months after that, it was worth way.
Imagine all the pizzas you could have had.
I could have had so much pizza, bro.
So much pizza.
Better pizza. Like,
you could have flipped that pizza.
So
you could have flipped that pizza. You could have been on the side of the road.
That's what I'm saying.
Buying
I could have been the Papa John.
Right. You could have been slinging pies to the homeless, my nigga.
Oh,
the real Papa John.
I could have really built an empire off of repurposed pizzas.
Repurposed pizza is crazy.
All right.
Pizza.
All right. On that note, if you are trying to repurpose your Bitcoin purchase pizza to the homeless, you might be waving a red flag. On the same note, if you are unwilling to go on a Cheesecake Factory date for the aesthetic, you might be waving a red flag or green flag, depending on the perspective of the members of this here podcast.
Depending on which city you're from.
Yeah, depending on which city you're from.
Which city?
Hey man, Raleigh, North Carolina.
That's basically Miami.
The Cheesecake Factory might be the bee's knees there. But yeah, this has been waving the red flag. We are again one of the podcasts of all time. It has been Edward, Alvin, Joshua.
One of the top 1,000 for sure.
I don't know, man.
Did he say one of the podcasts of all time?
Yeah. One of the podcasts
One
of all
of
time.
the podcasts of all time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you damn right about that. 100% fact.
If you want to catch up on some of these references that we keep making and we keep saying, you know, like check out the Patreon, please make sure that you check us out on the Patreon. Join us and the rest of the community on the Discord. All of that comes as like a package deal to kind of get to know some, you know, some insider kind of stuff and references that we've been talking about kind of a lot on this particular one. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, wherever waving the red flag is sold. We're also on Twitter sometimes. Edward, did I
not known to the city of California to cause cancer. We're safe. Just that, like, if you're listening to us on Spotify right now, we do offer all of that bonus content for membership, so you can join the community on Spotify. Same thing for YouTube by becoming a member. So you got 3 different options if you want to join the community and actually like get the full podcast experience and understand all these references that we're making.
Yeah, and that has been Waving the Red Flag podcast. Everybody, peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we conclude WTRF, bringing you the biggest bitches. No.
The biggest bitches online.
The biggest,
That's the biggest bitches and the baddest niggas.
That's a fucking
the biggest bitches and the baddest.
That's a fucking Charles Barkley reference. You remember how I know Eddie don't know, but you remember Josh when he kept talking about the big women in San Antonio and they made him stop saying that shit?
San Antonio is a wonderful city. But
no, we really don't need to do this again.
I'm just telling you, but they got some biggest down there, Ernie.
I know that woman ain't from here. They flew her in from Dallas.
I bet you couldn't do that to them big ass women in San Antonio. I've heard from some complaints from the people of San Antonio, and they want me to apologize. That's not apologize for. Me joking about those big old women down in San Antonio. I want to apologize to the women of San Antonio. I had churros last night. I see what all the excitement is about.
Yes. I don't know why I thought he was about to say he made nothing but he doubled down on that shit.
It was like a year where he was like, these big ass women in San Antonio.
Linebacker. Oh shit.
Impact.
Yeah.
Oh man, R.I.P. to Matthew Perry.
Oh yeah, shout out. No one knew what life was going to be this way.
Yeah, man. I'm watching Studio 60 tonight, man. It was ahead of his time.
Mr. Sunshine, sleeper hit sitcom.
Yeah, we're just riffing now.
No, it's a real show. I didn't make that up.
Yeah. What's the deal with airline
Friends,
food,
the white version of Living Single.
Yeah.
Oh, in a 90s kind of world, I'm glad I got my girl.
No, they need oh, girl, stand to my left and my right, true blue.
I don't know where you gonna put that shit in, but that needs to make it to the cut, man. I don't know where you gonna put it in.
Yeah. Yo, they need to do a Friends reunion and a Living Single like reunion, like reboot, and have them like crossover.
Yeah, crossover.
That shit would hit.
Friends was literally the white version of Living Single. That's all it was.
Because that, like, honestly, imagine like all the Living Single cast. They're now like bougie 50-something-year-old like successful black folks, and like the folks from Friends like come over for like a dinner party or some shit, and somehow calls out the fact that they copied their whole flow from Living Single. Would be a hilarious episode. I'd watch.
It'd be crazy. Like Overton's like looking at Joey, and like they're basically their characters serve the same function kind of shit.
And if I ain't had these knobby knees, I could have been a table dancer. Watch this.
My grandmother's. I got it from her when she moved to Florida. Otherwise, I could never afford a place like this. So if the landlord...
Like, do I know you?
I'll watch that special for sure.
Do I know you? They were dressed the same.
I can see like Joe was saying, "Do I know you?" And Opens was like, "Maybe we have met."
Yeah.